Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. They were talking about the Kinks and their album Soap Opera from 1975. Family favorite, right?
I always liked it.
Yeah. When we started listening to the Kinks, we really got into the Kinks. And we got like every album. And I sort of fell off around Preservation. But you listened to all the like mid to late 70s albums.
Mm-hmm.
Like you took them and ran with them.
I was the true fan.
I love them too.
Yeah, sure.
But you
whatever.
really there were years, Sean, where like from your room I heard like Misfits and I heard this.
It was like Sonic Youth, Mission to Burma, soap opera.
Soap opera. You had on your rotation.
Yeah.
You were a cool guy.
I don't
and
think so.
Still.
Anyway, this is an album that I'd have to say, if you really love the Kinks, you should like this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really love the Kinks, you really love Ray Davies and his style, you should like this. It doesn't have to be your favorite. That's not necessary for anything, but I think you should appreciate this album. It was something that I actually didn't expect to like. I'm not. Well, I would say when I listened to this first, I wasn't really big on rock operas. Mm-hmm. I wasn't. I didn't love theatricality.
Like the dramatic stuff.
And you would think at the time that I wouldn't really have liked this, but I listened to this a ton. And I think it's pretty clear why it's good.
Yeah.
The songs are really good. The melodies, everything. He's an incredible craftsman. He is an incredible songwriter. Brilliant. Genius level songwriter, Ray Davies. I never call anyone genius. I know I have a thing of calling people a genius.
You're very stingy with the
I'd give him the G word. Brian Wilson, I'd give Ray Davies the G word. There are people.
Yeah, there's a handful.
Bruce Cockburn. No, I don't.
I picked a name.
I picked a name. Anyway, no, really though. But what you say is true for once. We did become huge Kinks fans, and I think it's interesting for people of our generation, whatever generation that is, and if they're actually people.
The millennials.
They grew up listening to the Beatles. It's like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, maybe the Who, and then the Kinks were like this hidden option.
Yeah.
And when we found the Kinks, you found the Kinks, and then I found them.
They were in a box.
After you found them.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not really represented on classic rock radio.
Not really.
Every now and then you might hear Lola. Every now and then you might hear like You Really Got Me if they're doing like a throwback.
At that time it was old. Those were oldies.
Because they consider that oldies.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that with the Beach Boys too. How.
What's very strange though is the Kinks were very popular in America in the 70s. They had a great 70s here.
Yeah.
America always loved the Kinks. Even if they, the 3 years they were not allowed, but right. They were always really popular here. And the 70s were very good for them here.
Yeah.
So it's weird that classic rock radio really did not represent them well
mm-hmm.
at all. So it was like a third option. You could have like Beatles, Stones, the Kinks.
Right.
And I know I was probably pretty saucy about that. It's like if someone was like, what do you think about, the Beatles, the Stones? And it's like, well, the Kinks are better than both, so shut up.
I remember when I was in college and I was listening to the Kinks and someone like in my dorm came in and like heard, I don't remember what album it was, and they're like, oh, it sounds like the Beatles. And I was like, dude.
Yeah. Oh,
dude.
Anyway, I was definitely aware that people were not as thrilled mm-hmm. as you go deeper into the 70s with what Ray Davies was doing. But I really enjoyed this. I was wondering, I was thinking about the whole rock opera thing, which it's really kind of interesting. That you had, during the 60s, songwriters were elevating rock and roll They were bringing in elements of choral music, bringing poetry back into music again, bringing in avant-garde music, and rock and roll was really absorbing a lot. And by the early 70s, you had, say, take a band like Yes.
Right.
That was doing some just remarkable things. Whether you love them or not, it doesn't matter. Tales from Topographic Oceans is a remarkable piece of music. If you don't love it, that's fine. If you think it's too much, that's fine. But it's still an amazing thing to happen. And you had all these like rock operas, these stories that are being told within rock and roll, and it really kind of mirrored the popular music, American popular music of the teens and 20s, where you had just songs, and then all of a sudden these songs become musicals, and the musicals become films, and it becomes the American movie musical, which is
Mean Girls out now.
Yeah, right. Which is still a very special thing to us, of course, and to many people.
Not Mean Girls.
And so I was thinking about like why did that sort of storytelling within rock and roll just kind of end.
Yeah.
And, because it did. And I was thinking, I mean, one, the movie musical was dying at that time. So that couldn't have possibly helped. After all, there is only one Ken Russell. And you can all be very happy about that. Or thankful about that.
I love that movie.
It gets better. I feel like every year...
It can't get any better.
No, every year it gets better.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, last 20 years, some kind of even, just trying to think of concept albums.
Well, there are concept albums. There are some, well, because, in like progressive music and progressive metal, those sorts of things did continue, they continued there more, but people got tired of the rock, I don't really like the rock opera thing, but the rock opera thing.
I think it's a pretty big undertaking if you're going to do it right. It's amazing that it has been done right.
But there just was no outlet for it.
Yeah. Where are you're going to tour?
It seemed like, everything had sort of gotten to a point where it would obviously cross over into film, which it did with Tommy.
Yeah. And Broadway.
Eventually. Not that long after, but yes. But it didn't continue into like something viable.
Right.
And in the music itself, and just like flat out rock music, other musicians and even the audience just kind of were tired of it. It didn't last.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
No, it is interesting. Obviously, it's interesting to ponder.
It's something that still has, I think it still has validity to do something like this. A more theatrical rock and roll album. I hope it still has validity.
Narrative-based rock and roll album.
Anyway, to get back to the thing, this is you call it a rock opera, it sounds like something that's going to be like an opera, of course, but this is a story of very small things. It's
Ducks.
Well,
Ducks,
the things
perhaps?
that Ray Davies can write about is remarkable. So of course the whole story, which I honestly, when I listened to it at first, I didn't care about it at all. I just loved the songs. I didn't care about the story. I thought about it. I guess I knew about it enough, but I didn't think about it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But the whole story of switching places, the ordinary person, the star becoming an ordinary person, and all of that. This whole story is pure Ray Davies. The ordinary people. A kind of like the most gentle cynicism, loving cynicism you could imagine, really. Just poking fun at everyone. Not so much, this isn't really working class, it's more like white collar. Yeah. Like a name tag.
Yeah.
But poking fun at that, but sympathizing with it, very much. Poking fun at life. Rock and roll and the stars, Showbiz. but also even loving it. Sympathizing with that. It's all just, it's done, it's all balanced so perfectly well.
Mm-hmm. Got a lot of humor in it.
Is Ray Davies' humor. There's some lines that are always wonderful.
I really like how he's singing on a lot of this album too. There's a
he does what he usually does with the shit, changing
He's got
his voice
there's
for different.
slight different, you know, like there's slight shifts to indicate like different characters and stuff.
This album has a wide range of styles on it, really. When there's he does his country thing, which also kind of drinking song thing.
Yeah, it's pantomime.
What you call holiday romance?
It's not quite.
It's kind of like old time jazz.
Broadway, yeah, like vaudevillian kind of hot.
It's
hot,
like
for hot tot.
I mean, it's not unlike other things he had done, like Alcohol, and
Yeah.
There are definitely traces of Muswell Hillbillies. This is certainly a progression, musically you can follow. I just don't find anything out of place here. I love the performance. I think the writing is clever and heartfelt. The story is maybe not the most substantial in the world, but I think it's substantial. I do.
Enough.
I think it. If you wanted to try to, I try to think of this like as a film soundtrack. Does it tell the story and the songs, well enough? I think it does. It would be. I hope no one does this ever on Broadway or anything, because
they won't.
No, I know they won't. But I really hope.
I think it's safe.
Everything needs to be safe from that. But,
unless Green Day covers the whole album and then they put that on.
They will. They'll just rip it off. They already ripped off the Kinks anyway. I think it works really well. I think if there had been, if the movie musical were not in its death throes at the time, and say there were more than one Ken Russell, perish the thought.
They could have made something very interesting.
You could have done something interesting with this, something funny, and it points to a direction that was abandoned, but it's still it's just still great songs, very enjoyable, and some songs that I actually, I don't know, I really
catchy.
love.
Yeah.
Underneath the Neon Sign, I love that. The I'll say skepticism of modern living, if you want to call it skepticism. It's skepticism. It's a distrust of modern living, and of course that Ray Davies
That's a theme
had
that
been
pops up often.
of course for years.
Yeah, which makes so many of his songs so insanely relatable.
Yes, of course. Now maybe more than then, and that's a wonderful song. You Make It All Worthwhile is wonderfully quirky, and again with the dinner. That's a great song.
Yeah.
I think you have to listen to this album a little bit. You have to kind of give into it. You can't fight it. Don't fight it. Give into it, boy. And it's very enjoyable. It's definitely one of my favorite 70s Kinks records.
Yeah, I would say if people hadn't listened to it or really explored the Kinks 70s albums that much at all.
This and Misfits.
Yeah,
I really love.
Really fun. They're really fun. It sounds like Ray Davies is just doing whatever he wants.
Again,
and
no
writing
Dave.
songs and you have
No
another
Dave.
voice, but you don't know Dave.
Some really nice guitar solos though, from Dave.
Yeah, no Dave vocal.
But really nothing else.
Yeah, it's all Ray. Well, thanks so much for watching our brief discussion of soap opera. Make sure you let us know what you think of this album in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe to States and Kingdoms, and we'll see you next time.